Welcome to Destination Dive. I'm Jennifer Gray at the beautiful Moorings Village Resort in Islamorada. In this show, we will take you on some unforgettable dives, exploring the Florida Keys underwater world, and more importantly, the urgent efforts underway to protect and restore it. We will start in Key Largo. It's the northernmost section of the Keys, and at 33 miles, it's the longest island of the roughly 1,700 that make up the beautiful Florida Keys. This area is famous for its vibrant coral reefs, so let's take a dive and explore this amazing underwater oasis that puts Key Largo on the map. Beneath the turquoise waters of the Florida Keys, where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Gulf of Mexico, lies a hidden world, a vibrant, living treasure that's unlike anywhere else on Earth. Welcome to Key Largo, a place where coral reefs thrive and where extraordinary marine creatures gather in large numbers, offering divers a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I've been here for 18 years and I still never get used to what we see on here. Every day is something different.
The Florida Keys, including Key Largo, is home to the only barrier living coral reef in the continental United States. This reef system is part of the Florida Reef Tract, the third largest coral barrier reef in the world, covering several thousand square nautical miles from the Dry Tortugas to the northern edge of Key Largo. Here you will find Elbow Reef, one of the most popular dive sites for locals.
The diving in Key Largo is special mainly because of the shallowness. Lots of bottom time, lots of color, lots of fish, lots of coral. It's easy to get to.
Another popular dive site in Key Largo is the Carysfort Reef, located under the iconic Carysfort Reef Lighthouse. This dive is special because both novice and more advanced divers can explore a wide variety of reef environments, from shallow, sunlit coral gardens to deeper, mysterious slopes that drop to deeper depths.
Usually we have really flat reef sections that go in about 15 to 45 feet. And this one will just kind of slope down from about 35 down to like 80 feet or so. It's really big coral heads. Kind of reminds me of like Alice in Wonderland with the big giant mushroom corals coming up and the big brain corals coming out.
While these corals are breathtaking, they also require care. They have been battered by storms and most recently, extremely warm ocean temperatures.
We've come a long way with what we can figure out what actually will survive here and what will help the environment.
Around Carysfort Reef, you may notice new corals that have been recently planted. It's a first-hand view of the trailblazing work that's being done in the Keys to help restore these coral reefs, and also a reminder of how fragile the reefs are.
Around the mooring lines, you see tons of new corals being grown with their tags, and they actually have a nursery just inside of Carysfort Reef, so they just bring them out and transplant them out there. So you get to see a little bit about what people are trying to do to help the ecology and bring back the reef sections now.
While corals worldwide have faced challenges, there's no doubt these world-famous reefs off the coast of Key Largo are still rich in biodiversity and beauty. If you travel to the southern end of Key Largo, you will find two more amazing reefs that are abundant with fish and vibrant sea life: Molasses Reef and French Reef.
I could go to the same location today and go back tomorrow and the fish life will be totally different. And the reactions of the fish life with the coral and the sunlight and everything coming through is just very different.
Molasses Reef covers nearly 250 acres, and its shallow nature and easy access makes it one of the most popular dive sites in the dive world. It's known for the thriving fish populations and numerous boulder corals. Both reefs range in depth between 15 to 60 feet. And are part of the Florida Keys Marine Sanctuary, a protected area in the Florida Keys that covers 2,900 square nautical miles.
The reef sections are really special here in the Keys because of the different diversity of fish that come in here. We have over 500 different species of fish that live in our coral reefs, from little tiny little itty-bitty fish down up to the giant Goliath groupers and some of the bigger sharks that come through here on a pretty regular basis.
Every reef in Key Largo is different. Each one has so much to offer. So whether you're an experienced diver or a first-timer, Key Largo's coral reefs offer an experience that is both unforgettable and transformative, a chance to connect with the ocean, its creatures, and the deep mysteries that lie beneath the surface. Coming up, we'll explore some of the most historic wrecks that are sprinkled along the seafloor in Key Largo, including one of the largest and most famous wrecks in the world, the Spiegel Grove. Welcome back to Destination Dive. As our underwater journey around Key Largo continues, we will take you beneath the shimmering waves to a secret world that has attracted divers and marine enthusiasts for decades: the shipwrecks.
The deeper wrecks are going to be more artificial reef, which were sunk for a purpose. The shallower ones can be anything from the 1713 Spanish fleet that came through to some of the other ones that sank, like the Benwood during World War II, or back in the early 1900s, some of the ones that wrecked on the reefs here.
Ships have been sinking in these waters for centuries. In the 19th century, the Florida Keys were known as a treacherous stretch of coastline, a graveyard for ships. Many sank after colliding with the shallow elbow reef lurking just below the surface. Over time, these wrecks have evolved into living reefs.
The shallow wrecks that we dive in here off the Key Largo area are part of the actual reef structure. The reef has grown over the wrecks. They've been here for most of them over 100 years now.
One of the most famous wrecks in the Keys is the Benwood. Located at depths of 25 to 45 feet deep, this wreck sank in 1942 and holds some amazing historical significance.
So this was during World War II, when the German U-boats were notoriously around, so they were sailing with lights out. And you can imagine how dark it gets out here at nighttime. And with two boats coming head to head and they collide together, the Benwood was smaller and it lost. And when you look at the bow from sitting back from a little bit, you can actually see the indention in the bow where the two boats collided.
Wrecks like the Benwood and the waters around Key Largo provide shelter, food, and breeding grounds for thousands of species of fish and corals. Another popular wreck just 6 miles offshore of Key Largo is the city of Washington.
The city of Washington did have quite of a journey. It was in Cuba for a little bit during 1911. It basically became a barge towards the end of its life, and it sank in 1917 here on the reef. It's been down there for a long time. It's endured lots of hurricanes, lots of storms, but it's still there, still pretty, and has a lot of history in that area.
The city of Washington was an old steamship resting at only 25 feet of water. This shallow wreck naturally attracts lots of sunlight, allowing the wreck to show off vibrant underwater color.
You drop in the water and you're at either the bow or the stern section of it. And then as you turn onto the wreck, all you do is you see a lot of wreckage. There's still parts of the hull that are kind of coming up towards the sides of the wreck. You mostly see like the lower levels of the deck, the bilge level. There's still like a rudder and some pipes coming through there.
No trip to Key Largo is complete without visiting the crown jewel of the Florida Keys, the Spiegel Grove.
The Spiegel is pretty much our iconic deeper shipwreck. It was artificial reef sank in 2002. It has a little bit of a storied history. It sank a day early, it sank upside down, and then they got it to sink on its side. And then Hurricane Dennis 3 years later rolled it upright and made it sit exactly how they wanted it to sit.
This massive 510-foot long ship was sunk to create an artificial reef. It's now one of the largest wrecks in the world, open to more advanced recreational divers. Resting at 130 feet deep, it is a robust ecosystem.
The Spiegel just has tons and tons of fish life now. I was just out there yesterday and we had about 5 Caribbean reef sharks swimming around. And they are not afraid of divers, so they get very close and they just come around just to kind of look at you, inspect you, and then swim on about their way.
With the American flag waving in the current on the bow of the ship, this wreck is a sight to behold and a special reminder of how the ocean is both a guardian of history and a catalyst for life.
The wrecks play a pretty big role as part of the reef protection, as in they grow into the coral and the corals grow around them, but they're a pretty solid structure, so they also help break up the waves and things like that.
For divers and snorkelers, these wrecks offer an opportunity to explore the remains of a bygone era. They become part of the living landscape, where every visit is a new chance to witness the slow transformation of a ship into a thriving marine habitat. Coming up, the race is on. We will introduce you to an incredible group of scientists and volunteers who are rushing to plant as much coral as possible. It's Coralpalooza. Welcome back to Destination Dive. Not only is Key Largo home to some of the most iconic wrecks and reefs in the world, but scientists here are trailblazing the coral restoration efforts. Many look at the Keys as ground zero in a sense, as its barrier reef is the third largest barrier reef in the world. This has given scientists the means to research and develop techniques that are not only being used to restore reefs in the Keys, but scientists in other countries are mimicking these same strategies to restore coral reefs around the world. Key Largo has bragging rights to the largest underwater nursery in the world, covering about 1.5 acres in size and houses about 30,000 corals that are being raised and will hopefully find a new home on our coral reefs one day to help restoration efforts.
Coral Restoration Foundation's vision is that massive, large-scale action is what we need to save the world's coral reefs. And Coralpalooza really brings that to life. Not only do we want to bring hundreds of ocean lovers together here in the Florida Keys, but we want to involve multiple international organizations as well.
Coralpalooza is an annual event in Key Largo that draws hundreds of volunteers, scientists, and conservationists together for one common cause: to restore the coral reefs in the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. One of those volunteers is Kayla Christelle, who is the display supervisor at Sea Life Orlando Aquarium.
It's underwater work, which is similar to what we do in an aquarium. We get in aquariums and we clean them so the animals have a healthy life, and that's exactly what Coral Restoration Foundation does every day.
And just pick out any pieces of algae that you see in that area, keep it nice and clean.
Today, we're really focused on maintaining our coral nurseries. And that's going to mean spending 2 dives in our nurseries, and we're trying to split our time between taking care of all the different trees that exist there. And when I say taking care of them, we're going to be cleaning the trees. This is really important so that we can protect the coral from any kind of competition or overgrowth that it might experience, and it sets the coral up for a nice, healthy future.
Coralpalooza is focused on education and raising awareness, giving volunteers and the general public an opportunity to learn about the important work being done in the Keys to save our corals, along with hands-on experiences that will hopefully make a lasting impact on these future stewards of the oceans. Coral reefs represent less than 1% of the ocean floor, yet supports at least 1 in every 4 marine species, which makes the work at Coralpalooza even more important.
Since the 1950s, we've lost 50% of the world's coral reefs. But what frightens me is that by the year 2100, within the next 80 years, we might lose our shallow water coral reef ecosystems altogether. Now, we've never lost an ecosystem before, so we don't know what that means. Sure, as scuba divers and people who like to snorkel and engage with marine resources, that's sad. But what does it mean for us in terms of food? What does it mean for the planet and a healthy ocean overall?
Despite the stress our corals are under, Coralpalooza is making waves. This 3-day event attracted more than 650 people in the Keys, contributing to more than 1,260 hours to coral restoration activities and outreach. But Coralpalooza's reach stretched around the world, as volunteers in 6 other countries as far away as Indonesia participated as well.
Coral reefs house 70–80% of wildlife out in the ocean, so If we lose these corals, it's going to be detrimental to the life that we know here on this planet.
As scientists and volunteers continue this race to save our reefs and work tirelessly to find the most resilient corals to plant, they know their trailblazing efforts are making a difference. Corals are beginning to respond, showing signs of life even in areas that were hit the hardest by bleaching. It's an encouraging sight and proof that we can make a difference. Because in the Florida Keys, the reefs aren't just something to be admired, they're something worth fighting for. Coming up, we will take you to John Pennekamp State Park, where scientists and volunteers are saving the seafloor. And it's with something so simple, you can find it in your sock drawer. Welcome back to Destination Dive. The Florida Keys is no doubt a paradise of vibrant coral reefs, crystal clear waters, and breathtaking marine life. But beneath the surface, there's another hidden treasure that's often overlooked: seagrass. These unassuming plants may seem simple, but they are the unsung heroes of the coastal ecosystems, and more important than you might realize.
It provides essential habitat and refuge for all sorts of different marine species. It helps recycle nutrients such as nitrogen. It stores carbon. The benefits are almost endless of seagrass meadows, especially throughout the Florida Keys.
It's estimated that 50% of this essential seagrass has been lost in the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary between 1999 and 2015, according to NOAA. This tremendous loss is primarily due to boaters.
So throughout the Florida Keys in general, the primary threat that seagrass meadows are facing are prop scars and vessel groundings from uneducated and unaware boaters that may be running in areas that are too shallow that they don't realize because the water's so clear, or they're just don't understand completely what's going on in the area. And then next thing you know, they're running through a seagrass bed, and then there's a 2 to 3 foot prop scar that there's no longer any seagrass and it's just bare bottom.
Once the seagrass has been destroyed from a boat propeller, it can take up to 2 decades for that grass to regrow. This puts tremendous stress on the organisms who rely on that seagrass for survival. And all the other benefits we get from seagrass begins to diminish, like maintaining the clean, clear water that the Keys is known for.
Without the clear and clean waters throughout the Keys, the tourism is basically absent.
In an effort to help restore the lost seagrass, NOAA and the Coastal Conservation Association, along with Sea and Shoreline, have developed a way to shorten the regrowth of seagrass from nearly 2 decades to only 1 year. It's with the help of tube socks.
The purpose behind it is to take these biodegradable, they're cotton tube socks, they're about 1 meter long, and they're filled with sediment from the local waters. And then they're placed in the scar. Sometimes it just takes 1, sometimes it could take 4 or 5, it just depends. And we bring it back up to the natural grade, and that's it. That fills in that cut, and then that allows the seagrass to start, as the roots grow horizontally, to grab onto that and to start filling in. And it fills in quickly within 1 year or 2.
Today, students from a local high school went out to help place the tube socks on the seafloor. It's an outdoor lesson in marine science, and one that will not only have a lasting impression on the students, but will make a lasting impression on the ecosystem in the Keys.
We just completed a sediment tube restoration project where we put sediment tubes in prop scars. We placed 4,000 of them to restore the bottom to natural elevation.
Beyond supporting marine life, seagrass meadows help protect the coastline. Their dense roots stabilize the seafloor, reducing coastal erosion and acting as a natural barrier against storms. It also acts as a carbon sink. By absorbing more carbon than it releases, the seagrass is effectively removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it.
In terms of storing carbon, seagrass meadows are very significant. They can compare to the amount of carbon that is stored by the rainforest in the Amazon.
From providing nutrients for marine life to cleaning the pristine waters in the Florida Keys, to protecting our coasts from natural disasters, The seagrass is worth protecting. Thanks for joining us for Destination Dive. We hope you'll come along for next week's journey as we venture deeper into the Keys, Islamorada, where scientists are actually hanging underwater shades in our ocean to protect the most vulnerable corals. You won't want to miss it.